Hey folks, well last night was the top 12 girls from the top 24 on season 9 of American Idol, and I thought this was a girls' year. Didn't they say the girls were hot? A girl is going to win this year. So tell me why I felt like I was sitting here with Dr. Conrad Murray and an IV full of propofol. It really was that sleep-inducing. With the unfortunate honor of going first, being the first performance of the season, was the until now relatively invisible Paige Miles. She sang All Right Now. And it was the first live performance of the season, so that nobody wants to do because it oftentimes means you're going home. And this was a quadruple whammy for poor Paige Miles because, number one, it's the first performance and most people are going to forget you by the end of the show. Number two, we've hardly seen her, so it's hard to tell if this is typical for her. It's hard to tell if she was just having an off day or if all her performances are so dull and shouty. Or because we really don't have anything to reference it. Number three, it was such a strange song choice. I mean, when she was going through a list of songs trying to pick out a song, what was it about that song that jumped off the page and said, hey, use me to make your first impression? And last but not least, number four, at the end of the show when they were showing back the clips and giving out the numbers, they didn't even have, somebody botched the sound and didn't even have Paige Miles, they didn't even have her vocals in there. So we could hear the band and we could hear the backup singers, but we couldn't hear her, which is not necessarily a bad thing because nobody really wanted to hear that again. Simon said, out of all the girls, I think you have the best voice. At which point I thought, wait a minute, you mean it's all downhill from here? Kara thought it was great. She said, you have a ridiculous voice, girl. Randy thought she did great and gave his typical way to start off the season nonsense. And Ellen was worried during rehearsals but thought she pulled it off. But what Paige was really concerned about pulling off was her dress that she was sewn into because she had to go to the bathroom. Next was Ashley Rodriguez. She sang Happy by Leona Lewis. I thought the last note was kind of pretty, but the whole thing was like a slow motion train crash. I knew Simon was going to have nothing good to say about it because since it's a Leona Lewis song and he loves to take complete credit for Leona Lewis, it's like he gave birth to her or something. He thought it was clumsy and thought she wasn't original. He said, you're just somebody who sings other people's songs and not very well. The judges thought she picked songs that would get her the diva comparisons. And then, you know, they're so fickle when it comes to the diva comparisons because it's like with Lil Rounds last season. When she did Mary J. Blige, they said, oh, you want to be careful not to be copycat. You don't want to get compared to Mary J. Blige. And then when she didn't do Mary J. Blige, they said, oh, you know, that's not you. That's not you. You should be Mary J. So they're really fickle when it comes to that. But the next of the night was Janell Wheeler. She sang What About Love by heart. Poor thing was shaken like a leaf by the end of her performance. She was so scared to death. She said in Hollywood her main goal was to impress Simon, and that's not really a way to... That's not the thing you want to do because so often when people try to impress Simon, they go home. And I'm not sure who she was trying to impress last night, but it really didn't do anything for me. I thought the song ate her up and spit her out right there on stage. Very few people can get away with singing a heart song on American Idol. You know, Kelly Clarkson, Allison Irahita, Carly Smithson. They've all got these really powerful voices. And Janell Wheeler's voice is really just not that powerful. I mean, she's a great singer, but the song is just not right for her. She can't even compare to Allison Irahita. So, you know, she should have chose a lower profile song. Maybe she thinks she has one of those big voices, which may end up hurting her in the end. But I think what she needs to do next week if she sticks around, and I think she will, I think she needs to put on one of them short skirts because I think her pretty legs will probably carry her farther than her voice. Randy didn't like the song choice, but said, I still got vibes for you, man. Ellen liked it and thought she moved well on stage. Simon said she gave 100% effort and delivered 65%. And Kara said the song took away everything distinct about Janell's voice, and, surprise, I agree with Kara Dioguardi. Next was Lilly Scott. She sang The Beatles' Fixin' a Hole. She said, last year I was basically living out of my car. Oh, ever since Jewel made up that story that she was living out of her car. Jewel had a boyfriend at the time. She wasn't living in her car. If she was, then her boyfriend was the worst boyfriend in the world. But ever since then, every girl wants to make up that story. Well, she said she was basically living out of her car, which meant she spent a lot of time in her car, but she was sleeping on somebody's couch or in a bed somewhere. I thought it started a little rough, but she picked it up and it was the perfect song choice for her. Even though I really don't know that song very well, I thought it was kind of flirty, cutesy, and it was just perfect for her. It fit her perfectly. Ellen said, I think that's what we're talking about. Kara said, everyone is going to remember you tonight. Simon said she was the best so far, which wasn't a very tall order given the 3 less than stellar performances we had seen before her. And Randy thought it was very honest. I liked her. I wonder how well she's going to do, though, when we get to the theme weeks. And she has to sing different types of songs. Because she seems like she might be one of the types that, eventually every song starts sounding alike. After that was Catelyn Epperly. She sang another Beatles song, Oh Darlin'. She looked like the painted-up Wicked City woman with a big old large poodle taking a nap on top of her head, didn't she? And she sounded so old-fashioned. I mean, I know the song is 40 years old, but she made it sound even older than that. I think she probably would have been a huge hit in one of those speakeasies back in the 1930s where people go to drink alcohol, back in the days of Prohibition. But maybe, though, she could have done well entertaining the troops during World War II. But I didn't see anything about her that's going to make her a superstar in this day and age. Simon thought it was messy, but he likes her because she's quirky. Kara said, "You know your voice very well." Well, of course she does, Kara. She's only had it since the day she was born. Kara, though, didn't like her makeover and the lipstick. She likes Katelyn natural. What do you want her to come out there looking like Crystal Bowersox? I'm just kidding. I don't want to get no hate from the Crystal Bowersox fans, which I am one. Randy said, "You definitely got a big voice," and Ellen thought it was good, but that it felt pushed. Next was Haeley Vaughn. She sang I Want to Hold Your Hand. What the hell is this, Beatles night? Jeez Louise, third Beatles song in a row. And I'm really not as crazy about the Beatles as a lot of people seem to be. And this song is probably in my top 10 list of least favorite songs of all time. So when Ryan Seacrest introduced her singing this song, I was really disappointed. I wanted to cry because I really wanted Haeley Vaughn to do well. But it didn't really sound like the song that I've come to know and hate over all these years. I did think she tried to do a little bit too much with it, though. She tried to hit too many high notes that she kind of butchered along the way. But I thought when she was good in it, I thought it was great. I thought the chorus was great, and I love what she did with her voice. There were a whole lot of bad spots in it, though, but I love the chorus. I thought it sounded beautiful. She changed it to fit her, and so I think she was really one of the only ones of the night that really took a risk and really tried to make the song her own. I wish they did studio recordings before the top 12, though, because I think she'd sound great in the studio. Cara Dioguardi said from a technical standpoint there were some issues, and there were. Randy said when she hits the high notes the sound is not as pleasing as it could be, and he's right about that, but I thought the chorus was great. Ellen enjoyed it and thought Haeley shined, and I agree with Ellen. Simon thought it was a complete and utter mess. Ellen said if it was a mess, it was a hot mess. Somebody needs to coach Ellen on modern day lingo because a hot mess is actually worse than a normal mess. But I get what she was trying to say, though. Next was Lacey Brown. She sang Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, one of my all-time favorite songs, and she completely butchered it. The landslide might have brought her down in that song, but I think the lack of votes is going to be what brings her down Thursday night. I got this sneaking suspicion that she's going to be one of the ones going home, and I hope so. At least with the other girls that didn't do well, at least they had one good note or two good notes. A good note here, a good note there. There was not one redeeming millisecond in that entire performance. I thought it was horrible. But of course, we're talking about a girl that got outsung by Megan Joy last season, so I really wasn't expecting much from her. Randy thought it was terrible. Ellen thought that Lacey is better than that. Simon thought it was depressing, and Kara hopes that America will give Lacey another shot, and I disagree. I really don't care to see anything else from her. Next was Michelle Delamor. She sang Falling by Alicia Keys, and I really never have liked that song. It puts me to sleep just about every time I hear it, so that's points off for her from the get-go. But Michelle did prove that she's a really good singer. You know, most often on the show when people sing Alicia Keys, it's a complete mess. But she did a great job with it, so kudos to her. But I thought it was a little bit safe. She really didn't reach for the high notes like she could have, but maybe she couldn't grab the high notes, so it's better not to reach for them if you can't really get them. And, but I was waiting for the song to peak, and it really never did. Ellen thought it seemed too easy for her, and I agree with that. Simon thought it sounded too close to the original, but not as good. Kara thought she lacked believability, and Randy wants her to show him something no one else has showed him. Like what, Randy? Next was Didi Benami. She sang The Way I Am. She said she was going to try not to get teary-eyed because America has seen enough of her tears, and she's right about that. She cries way too much, doesn't she? I thought it was a very boring song choice. Some people must make the mistakes of singing songs that are too big for them. I think she sang a song that was too small for her, and it was more of a talking song, so she talked. It was almost like she was talking the whole way through it, but the parts where she did sing, I thought she sounded wonderful. I thought she sounded great. Simon said he could have closed his eyes and confused her with 3 or 4 of the other girls. You're the one who handpicked them, Simon Cowell, so don't go start complaining now that they sound alike. Kara thought she made some changes to the song. Randy said he sees no outward oomph and Ellen thought it was too low-key for a first impression. Next was Shavonn Magnus. She sang Wicked Game by Chris Isaac. Another bit of a boring song choice for me. I thought it was more risky than some of the other girls, and she sang it great, but I don't know. There's something about her. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something that's I think might prevent me from ever liking her, no matter how well she does. Have you ever met somebody and you just don't like them? You don't know why? I feel bad because of that, too, because she did sing very well, but there's something I just don't like about her, and I don't know if I ever will. But maybe next week she'll prove me wrong and turn me into a fan. Kara liked it, but thought it was a bit nasally at times. Randy said, "This girl can blow." Okay, Randy. Ellen loved it and liked how mysterious Siobhan moved around, and Simon thought it was good but not great. Next was Crystal Bowersox. She sang "Hand in My Pocket" by Alanis Morissette. She said she's never actually really watched the show, but she decided to try out because Mama needs a bigger paycheck. I think it was nice to hear somebody finally admit that they're doing it for the money. So many people want to say they want to inspire people, they want to change people's lives and all that warm fuzzy stuff, and maybe they do want to do that, but the first reason is most often the money, and Crystal Bowersox basically admitted that. I think she was in the best position coming into Tuesday night because the online chatter has portrayed her as a frontrunner. So I thought she gave a very safe performance. I almost felt just a little bit let down by her because I know she can do better. We saw her do better in Hollywood, and I've seen some online videos of her doing a whole lot better than that. But it was still great with the guitar and the harmonica. I think her best is still ahead of her, though. And I think she could afford a safe performance because so many of these other girls, they really needed to knock it out of the park, like Paige Miles, but really didn't. And what happens when you do that the first week, you get what I call the Lakeisha Jones syndrome, where you do so well in your first week that you can never live up to it again. So Crystal Bowersox doesn't have to worry about that, and she's only going to get better. Randy likes that she's going to do her thing no matter what. Ellen thinks she adds something fresh to the show. Simon thinks that there are thousands of her doing this outside of subway stations every day. Yeah, but they're not on TV now, are they? He wants her to be original. She said they don't allow original songs on the show. She has that Indigo Girls, Jewel kind of feel to her, and I love that. Kara said she wants her to not be a coffee house performer, and I disagree with that. I think that's something she should never lose. That's something very good about her. And, we now found out who signed her guitar. It was Melissa Etheridge and Shania Twain. And the last of the night was Katie Stevens singing "I'm Feeling Good," and I wasn't feeling good about that performance. She got the pimp spot, usually they put what they believe is a stellar performance in the pimp spot, especially this early on because, to kind of make the show end on a high note, but that didn't happen this time. First off, I thought it was a stupid song choice. The theme is so wide open this week, so why would you choose a song like that has been so overdone on the show before? I mean, overall, she sang it well, but I still didn't like it at all. I think she's just overrated by the judges, but I think she'll be fine this week. Ellen thought it was old for her, and she is so right. Simon said it was like your mum and dad had dressed you and given you this song for this audition. Kara said at the end of the day, you have ridiculous chops. Randy wanted her to youngen up because you can only be 17 once. Thanks for pointing that out, Randy Jackson. Little lessons that we never knew before, learning from Randy Jackson for the first time. So anyway, that was it for the top 12 girls. And I thought I think going home will probably be Paige Miles and Lacey Brown, or possibly Katelyn Epperly, because I thought she was pretty horrible too. But I hope Haeley Vaughn doesn't go home. But I think Haeley Vaughn and Crystal Bowersox are my favorite of the nights. Even though Haeley did kind of butcher that song a little bit, I still thought the chorus made up for the bad parts. But so tomorrow night is going to be the top 12 guys, and they better bring it. That's what they're going to say, they better bring it. I think the guys might actually do better than the girls because they keep hearing over and over, the girls are so good this year, the girls are so good this year. So they might feel like they have something to prove, whereas the girls keep hearing, you all are so good this year, so they kind of played it safe. So hopefully the guys will do well tomorrow night, and this might not be a girls' year after all. I'll see you folks tomorrow. Who do you think's going home? Bye.